Now Jim goes back underneath.
He's gone across.
Only just, though. Only
Brad's
just.
in the right spot for the next corner.
Two of them side by side. Faulkner sitting back there. You're riding with John Faulkner and enjoying the sensational duel for first and second place between Brad Jones and Jim Richards.
What a view that is, too, from the onboard camera.
Yeah, and Faulkner's not out of this either by any stretch.
Oh, he's right there on.
Oh, Faulkner sideways. Is he going to lose it at this side of the track? No, he holds it on the circuit.
Masterful piece of driving.
Whoa, I tell you what, he was within 8/15th then of being straight off the track, was he not?
He was that. Boy, he brought that car back on, gathered it back up, and that's like riding on marbles out there, Alan.
Yes, it is. That was pretty skillful, actually. He made a mistake. He came over on the wrong line, but picked it up, and I think that's good.
Okay, now Brad Jones has opened the gap that he really wanted to open as he comes down the chute. Jones goes through. He's 1.1 seconds in front of Jim Richards. John Faulkner closing on Jim Richards, giving him the idea of what's going to happen in the next 15-lap NASCAR race as well.
I understand that the reason we don't see a sponsor on Brad Jones's car is because his particular sponsor said, let's go NASCAR. Brad said, I can't run NASCAR for that amount, what they give him for an AUSCAR sponsorship, so he turned it down. Could that be true, or is that just a rumor I'm spreading?
Oh, there are a lot of rumors around at the moment, I think, Bill, and that could be one of them.
Oh, I find it quite hard to know Brad Jones doesn't have a sponsor this in the season.
Oh, here we go. Car 99 is off. Well, 99, where are you? That's Greg East. I think we saw East off in the East go west.
He lost a little bit of debris there, too.
The last heat as well. Meantime, Bo is back on the inside, the Bo Repairs car.
Highly unusual when a guy just knocks his own bumper or fender out of the way.
Well, you've got to get back on that track. That's the thing, yeah.
Doesn't care about it. He just wants to go racing. And Alan Grice, that's a good point. It's Brad Jones, followed by Jim Richards, and then Faulkner back there with the onboard camera. And we'll show you some more of those delightful pictures here before this race is over. As we continue, there we go, riding out the windshield, the front windshield, with Faulkner as they go to the first left-hander, and there he is, working that wheel very lightly, talking a little bit on the radio, chewing on that straw. It's got delightful ice-cold water coming from a cooler to keep him refreshed as he drives.
Well, in fact, a lot of the drivers use more than the ice-cold water these days. They tend to use their own version of benzene, Billy. They have all sorts of health drinks in there.
Is that a Gatorade product?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, same sort of thing. And I'd say at this very moment that John Faulkner is just about ODing on the stuff because he's been sucking on it most of the day.
He has been that.
Well, he's losing a lot of sweat in the motor car, and you just have to put that moisture back in your body.
They say that for every 2% of body fluid you lose about 20% of your energy, Alan. So it's very important to keep that body fluid up.
Yes, and most of these cars, particularly the guys that are driving in both categories, they'll be both drinking on the bottles as the races go on.
In the United States, and Alan, you can kind of back me up on this, in a 500 or 600 mile race in May or June in the season, our drivers like Buddy Baker, the bigger driver, lose anywhere from 12 to 13 pounds a race.
Oh yes, a guy so I've been described as very good pull through for a flute by various people who are a lot larger than I am. I can lose 5 or 6 pounds in one race.
Both Brad Jones and Jim Richards are really going for it. The times have now dropped into the 1-minute 11-second brackets. Brad Jones the best, a 1-minute 11.72. Jim Richards only slightly behind him, a 1:11.87. So the time's really starting to tumble.
And they're continuing to work a bit of traffic, too, as they maneuver around this...
Marshall Brewer there's in fourth.
Yep. This very magnificent facility here at Eastern Creek as it becomes kind of late in the afternoon on a Sunday afternoon, and we're glad to have you on board watching by television today with us. And what a race we have seen so far in the AUSCARs and the NASCARs, and it's just beginning because they're into pay dirt now, and the dollars make these guys do strange things.
Indeed, yeah. I think these types of racing, both AUSCAR and NASCAR, you can see the cars moving and sliding. Group A in Australia is a great category, no question. But the cars are really glued to the ground with their aerodynamics, and here the AUSCARs and NASCARs are sliding around, a tail out and leaving black marks, and I think people like to see that in motorsport.
1.23 seconds is the gap from first to second position. Another 1.2 seconds back to third place, John Faulkner.
Faulkner's just beginning to lose touch, I feel.
Oh,
whoa.
There's a touch. You're a little bit sideways, and excuse me.
23 on 25, that's Mark Seaton in 23, and 25, Terry Wyhoon.
Well, our aerial camera on board the helicopter was right on that one.
Yeah, great shot.
Great shot. Good work by our aerial camera crew this afternoon, giving us some viewpoints of the threading the needle when they go 3 wide, and you can't see that normally when you're at ground level going through a corner such as these turns here at Eastern Creek. We're back up with Jim Richards.
Richards now really, really smoothing out the circuit. He realizes that's the only way he's going to catch Brad Jones. It's become a mind game now between these two drivers. They both know the limitations of their motor car. Now it's a case of smoothing it out. For Brad Jones, it's a case of trying to stay in front of Jim Richards. For Richards, it's a case of trying to peg back that little bit of a gap on Brad Jones so he can get in touch with him again and then start to throw out the real challenge.
It's amazing what they have done through a lot of racing. Bob Jane, Calder Park, the Thunderdome, and that racing facility in the outskirts of Melbourne, and creating the AUSCAR series, and most of them are based right there, shopped there, built there. The NASCAR series being brought to Australia. So, you know, this series has really taken off, Alan. It really has over the years.
Yes, it has, and there's no risk. Jim hasn't given this race away. He's quicker down the straight, and he's just trying to hang in there.
That lap then, Richards 0.4 of a second faster than Brad Jones.
Yes.
So 12.5 on Jones, 12 and a little bit on Richards. And the race is really on. Just these two guys. It's intriguing, isn't it, to watch two masters just carving away at the track, trying to get the minute advantage on each other.
Yeah, and Jim's closed just a little bit more too. And with the run down the straight, I'd say at the end of the straight, he'll be very close to Bradley, because he'll pick up half that length, I would think, in power.
As the race goes on, Alan, Brad's as well as Jim Richards' tires, they'll begin to wear, and both those guys will see just who's going to outhandle who.
Oh yes, there's no question. The cars will deteriorate towards the end.
Laps continue to tick away.
You see, you've got to remember, this is a standard road tyre. There's Jim moving a little up a little under brakes. This is a standard road tyre. Now, sure, most of the tread is buffed off, so that you don't get the deflection of rubber that you get in a nice new tyre. It's buffed off to keep the heat down, but it is a standard tyre. It is a standard Goodyear tyre, and with a lot of pressure in, also, you've got to remember, a lot of pressure, much more than you'd use on the road, but it really is straining that tyre. It's putting it to a heck of a lot of work and asking a lot of it.
Richo again faster on that preceding lap by just 0.1 of a second. Brad Jones a 1:12.14, Jim Richards a 1:12.04. So Richards again just carving off those tenths of a second.
Richards got off the course there just briefly, but brought it back on too. So he's really trying to close it up a bit on Bradley Jones. And as they come off, and we take a look again inside Faulkner's car, he's got a look of concern on his face as he continues to shift through the clutch and go up through the gears. Now he's back in fourth gear or fifth gear. What is it, fourth gear they're at right now, Alan?
Yes, and you can just see those cars just inching away from him, and he's not real happy with that.
No, he isn't. You can tell that by looking at the expression on his face. Now, this lap, of course, this will be a 15-lap event as we continue to work away. The finale to the day will be the NASCAR feature, and Alan was looking down on pit road. Hopefully we'll go down for a brief report with Ian Campbell a little later on during this race to find out if a lot of them are bleeding their brakes and doing repair.
Well, Faulkner just getting a bit loose there, as you can see the tail end starting to move around a bit, Alan.
Yes, yeah, no, it's just temperature getting into the tyres. They're just losing some of that effect.
But Faulkner, I still think, is the fastest through that flip-flop of any driver here at Eastern Creek today.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I would agree with that.
He's really got that section of the track ironed out, hasn't he?
He could be just playing, waiting back, no doubt about it, just till we get down. We're 8 laps.
Not the nature of the beast, I don't
Really?
think.
8 laps into 15, so they are over halfway.
Yes.
The key is Faulkner just probably doesn't have what he needs to catch back up with Jim Richards and Bradley Jones.
Here are the three of them all in the same picture now. There's Brad Jones. Behind him is Jim Richards. Then comes John Faulkner.
Faulkner just coming into our picture.
Richards again faster. It's Brad Jones at 12.67. Richards at 12.37. 0.3 of a second again. Nailed off Bradley Jones.
Yep, you'll be right there, sure.
Alan, let's talk a little bit about the tire groove, the groove that they see around this facility that these other race cars have laid down with Goodyear rubber or rubber around the track. Do these drivers follow that groove and try to stay in it?
Yes, they do, but you find that there is only one correct line through a corner, so therefore all the good drivers will be using the same line and putting the rubber down in the same part of the road. You'll find that some of the guys that are coming up that these fellows are lapping, their lines are totally different, and so they're not really taking the best use of the racetrack for two reasons. One is that the line's not right. Two is that they're using that part of the track that doesn't have the rubber on for maximum grip.
Quick glance there out the back of John Faulkner's car showed us Marshall Brewer, who is lurking there in 4th position as Faulkner locks her up. Now, you know, is that the car, or is in fact John Faulkner starting to get tired?
That's possible. That's possible. It's far more demanding to be doing sprint races and getting in and out, starting and stopping cars, than it is to sit in the car and do all those laps in one hit.
That's the distance there between 3rd and 4th position. The two yellow cars shows you Faulkner there and Marshall Brewer behind him. But up front, Jimmy Richards is really starting to close the gap now on Brad Jones. You can see him there through the corner. There's less than a second in it. And Jim Richards, I think, now is starting to go to throw out his challenge.
Now, if these guys are beginning to tie, in talking about Jim Richards and Faulkner, the advantage is not too good going into that NASCAR finale of 15 laps that is yet to be run.
No, that's true. That's true.
There's Brad Jones, the Commodore. Let me tell you, this youngster has made quite a name for himself in Australia and America as an Australian race car driver, just as Gricey has, and Dick Johnson and some of the rest like Ian Thomas and Terry Byers, who we might tell you fans, the black flag is being given to the 66 car.
That's Tony Leach.
And the reason Terry Byers is not in this NASCAR field, if you're a Terry Byers fan, is they had blown 2 engines using a lot of the Dale Earnhardt parts on those engines, could not figure out their problem. They tried to go to a 3rd engine and could not, so they elected to leave Eastern Creek and find their troubles before we get to Calder Park in 2 weeks.
Richards rounds up Dick Howe on the outside, keeps touch with Brad Jones, who thought he might be able to use that passing traffic then, the lap traffic then, to open a gap, but it's not to be, as Richards is just stalking him. Now, you talk about drivers getting tired. If there's one man who seems superhuman, it's Jimmy Richards. But did you see the lock coming off the car then, Alan, as he came up out of the stop corner?
Yes, getting the lock off. Yes, it's exactly right. No, he's doing it all. He's doing it all well. But Jim's done this sort of thing before. You do get used to turning on and turning off. And the time that you're not in the car, you do. Oh, somebody's around there.
That's the 90 car again.
Yes.
How many times have we seen this guy do this today?
Well, it's 3, but who's counting, Bill?
Well, he's having a good time, and that's what it's all about.
Well, he just doesn't like
motorsports.
that part of the track, and that's that.
But he is learning it. You've got to give him this. He's learning that.
That's exactly. Give everybody a learning time and a little new experience. Doesn't hurt to slide once in a while.
Car 3 was Grant Munday. His car being prepared by Les Small, who's a blast from Alan Grice's past. Used to prepare Gricey's cars.
Here's
Yeah,
the
Les is
66 car that was black flag.
Black flag. Les has been feeding me a bit of information from them in the pits on the other side today, I've got to say.
He's deep throat, is he?
Here we are.
He's had his secret telephone working all afternoon.
Yes, indeed. His Jimmy is closing on Brad. I think there won't be an attack here, but he's really putting it to him now.
Oh, look at the brakes on the Brad Jones car, really working.
He's got a run on the inside.
Yeah,
Bradley says, excuse
Bradley
me.
said no, absolutely not, no way, no how.
A little tap, tap, tap there.
Watch
boys.
my lips, Jim. No.
I still saw a little bit of tapping going on through that corner, no
Yes.
doubt.
Yeah, but did you see how late Bradley was braking to prevent that happening in the first place? The rear end of the car really working around.
Yes, he
so
couldn't
there was
do any
nothing
more.
left for either of them,
Yeah.
and there's certainly nothing left now.
You see, Jimmy is now certainly quicker than Bradley over that flip-flop S there. He's certainly quicker there. And Jim is in the position to slip him this time, and we know he's got more power. This could be a change of race lead. He's got a good exit, yes, and in the slip.
He's setting him up. There's no doubt about it.
On lap 13, 2 to go as they come past the start-finish line this time.
There he is, just picking him up, but I don't think he's close enough.
Oh,
Yeah, he's going to try to duck the inside too late, but now remember, next time by, he's going to get the white flag.
He'll go for the pass on the apex of this slow left-hander. Bradley's going to cover the left. Jim will go right. Bradley will go in. Bradley will slide wide. Jimmy will go up the inside, and Bradley slams the door.
Bradley was listening to you, I'm afraid to say. 0.8 of a second was the speed differential between the two drivers on that lap. And guess who was the quickest? It was Jim Richards once again.
We're going to see if Jim Richards can do anything with Brad Jones as they're coming for the white flag when they pass the start-finish line next time. They're just coming through the hill and over that short chicane area, getting ready to start their climb up through the S's and into turns 11 and 12. And then they'll start that long run downhill to the front straightaway, which is about anywhere between 28 and 3,000 feet of pure power time.
These two cars, both racing in the 1 minute 12 second bracket. John Faulkner has dropped back into the 1:13s, so I think it's now definitely come down to a two-horse race as the white flag comes out with 1 lap remaining.
And we've got lap traffic coming up. Anything could happen.
It's anybody's ball game, anybody's race. It's the man that's going to get through and manipulate traffic, thread the needle, do the job the best, the quickest. They don't have a lot of banking here. This is not an oval. They don't have G-force that's going to hold them down when they slam it down on the bottom of the apron, which we'll talk more about the apron. Ooh, sliding is Jim Richards just a bit, Alan, through that corner, and that may hurt him.
Well, he really tried hard to get into that corner, and he just got it a little sideways. And there's Bradley coming sideways off there.
He's loose.
He's lost time there. This could come down to a lap car situation. Although they're both very experienced.
Here comes Richard, John. You might know we saw the tail end of Brad Jones' car goosing it a little bit, dancing on the racetrack. Jim Richards with traffic. Jones to the outside. Richards followed. They're down to 1.5 car lengths.
Here we go. Richards looks for the inside. He can't do it. Bradley's got the corner covered. So it's now down to drafting on the straight, Alan.
Yeah, Bradley's got the race.
Out of the hill, out of 12, down the hill. Now they got 2,800 feet to 3,000 feet of power. Back to the start-finish line. Brad Jones will win the AUSCAR Series.
Good race.
5.
Yeah, good race.
Jim Richards.
By just 0.66 of a second, Brad Jones from Jim Richards, and that gives Brad Jones a perfect score in the first 2 of the AUSCAR Championship races for 1993. He won the first at Calder Thunderdome 3 weeks ago. Took 175 points for that, takes another 175 today, gives him a perfect score of 350 going into the next round of the AUSCAR Championship at Calder Park Thunderdome on December 4 and 5.
Faulkner came home third.
Which gives him 165, so that gives him 300 and Billy, 35 points.
And now Faulkner and Richards will crawl back aboard these NASCARs for 15 more.